Okay, you guys, hello everyone, and welcome. My name is Jeneth Blackert, and I am the host of the Happy Empires podcast. And today's guest is Allison Hardy. And Allison is a mompreneur that really focuses on growing your business like you grow your children. And I just really fell in love with the way that she does business. Allison really helps entrepreneurs scale, and she focuses on helping them scale to that six-figure business, but also doing so by growing a business that really works with your life and your lifestyle. Her main expertise is focusing on engagement through Facebook groups and how to organically grow your Facebook group so that you can get noticed. So today we are going to talk truly about how to really create a business that serves you, your heart, and your family. So, Allison, welcome.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm coming. This is the first podcast I've ever done in pigtails because I'm like, oh, I just don't even want to deal with the flattening iron today.
That's hilarious.
How is quarantine going for you?
Well, I'm currently recording this from my closet, so it's going. It's fine. I have a 6 and a 2-year-old, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
not dealing like with what you have as an older kid, but we're dealing with, energy and maintaining that energy and that focus. And my little guy who's 6, dude is just all over the place. He is all over the place, and it has reaffirmed tenfold that I am not set up to homeschool successfully in my home. So it's just a refiguring all that out. And I think that's the great thing about having our own businesses is that we're able to do that. We don't have to fit inside of anyone's box. But
Yeah.
again, it's that whole figuring it out thing, and that's what we're kind of dealing with right now.
Yeah, it truly is the pivot.
Yeah.
And I was talking the other day, I said it's kind of a passionate pivot for me too, because I was already remodeling my business a little bit from just doing a bunch of conscious meditations and really focusing more on bringing that consciousness into growing businesses consciously. Uh,
Yeah.
one of the things that I really love about the way that you are growing your business is it really is like nurturing it and nurturing communities and truly engaging and creating communities like you are growing a family. So I wanted to talk a little bit about take us back to give us specifics, right? Like, when did you really find that you were great at growing communities and engaging with your audience?
Yeah. So it all started really when I was lonely. So we move a lot because of my husband's job, and he's a pastor, and we got a point, or he got appointed to this church that just was like not a good fit. It did not work for our family. Um, and it was in a city that I did not love. You have those places where you're like, yeah, never go back there. It was one of those types of situations. And I felt super alone. I didn't have any, we were really far away from our family, far away from any friends that we had had. And I was like, I am losing my mind. Like, I cannot handle this. This is not working out for me. And I knew we were going to be there for like we were there for 2 years, but I thought at the time we were going to be there for about 4. And I was like, you know what, like, I gotta find something. I had to figure something out. So I really just started a Facebook group as a way to like talk to people who wanted to listen to me. It wasn't business focused. There's nothing involved. But through those conversations just about mom life and moving life and being in a town you didn't like life, um, people started to ask me about my business because at the same time, I was growing my business.
Mm.
So, they just kept asking. And finally one day I was like, do you guys want to just like talk about business for a day, a week, and like we'll see where it goes? And they're like, yeah. So it was this crazy kind of organic growth. And I just really listened to what the community wanted. And then one day I was like, you know what, we're just going to transition this into a Facebook group that talks about business. And I had about 300 people at the time, and I was like, you know what, if you like, it's cool if this is no longer going to serve you, it's totally fine, like feel free to leave.
Mhm.
um Nobody left, and all of them were like,
Wow.
we're all business owners and we joined you, yeah, because we like you, And yeah, I wanted to talk about mom life and mompreneur life and living in places where you don't like life. They're like, but at the end of the day, the reason why we came was because we were really interested in your business. And I was like, what? This is so strange. So I
Oh,
pivoted to, speaking only about business in my Facebook group. And from there, I'm a big fan of email marketing and automation and things like that. I grow my group organically, yes, through, leveraging Facebook's algorithm and all that. But I also grow it through those other platforms that we have. So you have Instagram, you have an email list, and all those things can grow one another
right.
kind of organically and through like an ecosystem. I just refer to it as like an ecosystem.
All right. So take us back. So you started this group. What was the group's name?
It's called Life by Design.
Okay. So
Hmm.
that does kind of set you up as a preneur working from home.
Hmm.
So it started at that name. It's still that name. You just have different conversations.
No, it's totally not that name. I think I'm on name number 5 at this point. There's been some shifts. There's been some shifts. So it then switched to Self-Care Simplified because that was kind of like the crux of everything. And then I was like, that's not me. I'm just not, I don't want to talk about self-care all day. Granted, self-care is great, but like didn't light me up. So then I transitioned it to the mompreneur community, which was cool. And that's where I started to see a lot of growth. And then I transitioned to what it is now. So we're on 4 names, which is the 6-figure mompreneur community. So what that helped to do was really refine the person who was in it so that like I don't attract like hobby status business owners anymore, which is fine if that's where you are, just not who I serve.
Yeah.
So it got it really, 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 really clear and very niched. And granted, like I don't love that name. I don't love the name 6-figure mompreneur, but it's very clear as who the group is for and who it's not. So it
Right.
really organically attracts a certain type of person to it.
Right. Right. It's that mompreneur that's growing to 6 figures, and probably someday it'll be closer to 7. So
Yes, that's
yeah,
the goal.
I know. I was a 7-figurepreneur one year out of my business way back in the day. And I
Yeah.
worked nonstop. I had a team of 5, and I was like, no, talk about life by
Yeah.
design. It was like, step back. This is
Yeah.
too much, because that's all I was doing. And
Yeah.
and I had no systems in place. I think these days I could probably scale up if I had the motivation and the drive again, but oh my gosh, it just like the amount of customer service that we had sometimes, it was like we were doing just that. And you
Mhm.
know that your business isn't scaled right when you're doing that much customer service. People are getting like broken links, and it's just, that's just not how you run a good business.
Yeah.
Which is why
Yeah.
we switched over to the customer journey, right? And
Mhm.
really focusing on those real conversations that we have with people. Um,
Yeah. I love that.
yeah. So going back to your bit so this really the life force of your business is through this Facebook group. Would you say that?
I would say it's maybe not the life force, but it's definitely a very hearty part of my business. I would say email marketing and that combined
Okay.
really help to market my business for sure.
Do you find that usually they get in the group and then they get on the list, or do they get on the list and then they get in the group?
I think it's actually 50-50. I don't think there's like one that wins over the other. Like when you come onto my email list, you get a welcome email, and in that welcome email invites you to my group. And
Right.
then when you come into my group, when you answer the questions, it invites you onto my email list. So like they kind of feed into one another. And I do have like a strategy behind how I relay content within my group to grow it organically, to really play to the algorithm. And
Right.
then I'm always running ads. So I'm always having people join my email list.
Uh-huh.
So I don't think that one is like pushing to the other. It's kind of an interesting experience. It's
Right.
again, it's an ecosystem. It works, they
Yeah.
one feed the other.
Yeah. Now, how often are you in that group?
Once a day, Monday through Friday, for
Okay.
like 10 minutes. I really don't spend a ton of time in there anymore.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it's interesting as your group grows, your content gets seen less and less. So like my
Right.
group was small, like around 200 people. Everyone saw my stuff. Everyone knew who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now my group is around 4,000, maybe like 4,500 at this point. And it's so funny. My content really doesn't get seen as much, but because I'm the group member and I'm doing certain things in there, it gets visible in like on Facebook.
Right.
Which is it's so fascinating when that happens.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I've
Yeah.
never actually, every group that I've done has just been like a pop-up. Like after an
Mm,
internet marketing launch, then we would have like a pop-up group during that launch time. And then it just sits
yeah.
there and lies dormant. And that I found that that is very helpful for people when you're giving away a lot of free, content or doing a challenge or something like that. But I really find it fascinating, that that group feeds the audience constantly, because we're having to feed the audience through still email and list stuff, or and usually we do that a lot with mini chat today, because we want to send them text messages so that they go see the new content on the blog or see the new podcast or what have you. So we
Mhm.
do, our ecosystem looks a little bit different, but I think it would be fascinating to run a group and know that that group is going to grow. So let's talk a little bit about some of the algorithm that has you found that really boosts the content up so that Facebook actually shows your group to people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And it's really important. I think that's a big pain point that a lot of people have when they're talking about Facebook groups is that, nobody seems to be joining my group. Nobody seems to be
yeah.
engaging. The people are in there aren't engaging. Like it's kind of like this dead in the water thing.
Right. It's just you
When,
talking.
yes, and they'll take you talking at people and they don't care if you're talking at them, right?
Right.
So Facebook likes four things. It likes Facebook Live, it
Okay.
likes consistency, it likes sharing, and it likes engagement. So sharing, like using the share button, and it likes
Okay.
engagement. So when you can do all four of those things on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis, Facebook's algorithm recognizes that as valuable, and it'll boost your group within like the actual Facebook platform. So there's the suggested groups area, there's that whole right side toolbar thing we got going on. There's like keyword searches at the top. So if you're doing all those things on a fairly regular basis, when you search like the keywords within your group's name, your group, no matter how big it is, will get pushed to the top of that. So
Mhm.
it's just Facebook's way of saying, what, we value these things on our platform and this group is doing it. So like, let's get some more people in it because apparently it's valuable.
Mhm.
So when you can like play to the algorithm, I hear people say all the time, like, oh, the Facebook algorithm is against me, blah, 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 blah. It's not against you. You're just not using it properly. And I believe as people who market our businesses online, it's our job to figure out what that is, because
Yeah.
that's how we reach more people, and that's how we help more people, and that's how we scale our business. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it does. It's so interesting because I did last year, like October, I did a kind of a nonstop Facebook Live, not to a group, but to my page. And I kept thinking that, if I was on that much, like it was literally, well, 5 hours a day for 5 days. And we had interviews like this, right? Where they
Got
were
it.
all live. And I thought, well, this is going to be it. Now, it did grow a nice list, but it never really, did anything. So my page was like giving more life to itself. Like that, I was like, I had an assistant that was talking and there was tons of comments on it and everything. And I still today wish that I would have done that in a group. I wish I
Mm,
would have created a group for that instead of doing that from my main page that had kind of lied dormant for 3 to 5 years, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, and I really thought that if I had, if we've got about 8,000 people on that page, I really thought that they'd come back to life and watch something and, nope. So
Yeah, I know.
yeah, I,
Pages, Facebook just really doesn't love a page. They just really don't.
yeah, but they love
Yeah.
on groups and they love on the lives.
Yeah. And like, so Facebook has, like, they're doing paid advertising for Facebook groups. Like, have you seen the commercials? Have you seen like Facebook
Oh
group
yeah,
commercials on TV?
yeah. I
Yeah.
I knew that it was Facebook. I didn't know if it was groups specifically.
Yeah. So like when Facebook starts spending money outside of their own platform to like tell us to do things on Facebook, I think as us as entrepreneurs, we should pay attention. Like they're totally, totally, totally valuing Facebook groups now. And that shift started when all the congressional hearings were happening within for Facebook, when Mark Zuckerberg was on
Uh-huh.
Capitol Hill and he was doing all the
Right.
testifying and all that, they shifted their focus right after that from casting a wide net to casting a deep net. And their solution to that is Facebook groups. So they value Facebook groups right now like crazy.
Right, right. I hear that they're all about privacy too,
Yes.
like really protecting the privacy of people. And I thought that that
Mhm.
was really, really great. So that means more one-on-one conversations, like, using Messenger along with it, I think has been helpful
Yeah,
to,
for sure.
so they've got that privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about how you like grow, the group to begin with. Like where would, if you have somebody who's brand new to it, like how would you get them started? Would you start like recruiting just a few of your friends and make sure that they start making some noise, or is that not even necessary?
I think that's always a good idea whenever you can get a core group of people who are engaging, whether they're your friends or not. That's awesome. So yeah,
Right.
maybe get some of your biz besties to be your biggest fans for a couple of weeks, and that's cool. Something else you could do is like host an event. So you could do like a challenge or a video series, or like get some hype around something that you're doing inside of your group. If you want to promote it organically, that's cool. If you want to promote it through ads, that's cool. But to get a core group of people, serve them really well, they're going to be yours forever. And the thing about Facebook groups that I think a lot of people forget about is that there should be incentive, some sort of incentive to be inside of your group. So
Mhm.
if you're relaying the same information over on Instagram or on your Facebook page, then what's the point of them being in yet another Facebook group? There isn't one. So there should be some sort of thing that keeps them inside of the group, whether it's that you're relaying, information that you don't relay publicly, or there's got to be something in it for them. So maybe they're allowed to promote themselves. There's got to be something to keep them in there and keep
What
them
is it?
engaged.
Is it a bunch of things in your group? What is it? What do you think yours is
In
specifically?
my group, yeah, in my group, I do a Facebook Live every week. That's like a training kind of.
Okay.
I don't deliver the how, of course, because that's what my business solves. But talking about the steps you can take to get to six figures, like what that could look like for you, things like that. I also host something called Live Stream Wednesdays
Mhm.
that allows them to go live between the hours of 2 and 5. They can teach, they can talk about whatever the heck they want to talk about, and at the end, they can promote themselves because usually my group is closed to Facebook Live and to promo posts. But what that does also, so it does two things. Number one, it serves them, allows them to speak to potentially 4,500 of their ideal clients, which is cool.
Wow, cool.
But
Very
also, it plays to
like,
me.
I
It
need to be in
serves,
that group.
yeah, exactly. Everyone needs to be in that group. So it also serves me in that it plays to Facebook's algorithm. So it's only between the hours of 2 and 5. So it creates a lot of Facebook lives within a very short amount of time. And then because people are live in there, they're engaging. So
Mhm.
it hits kind of like the
Right.
three of the things that I spoke about earlier when it comes to playing to the
Uh-huh.
algorithm. So when I log in or a team member logs in on Thursdays, we have like a significant increase in requests to join the group. And in those requests to join the group questions, I ask, one of the questions is, how did you find us? How did you find a Facebook group? And most of them during that time on Thursdays are, you were in the right hand side of the Facebook feed, or I saw you in suggested groups areas. It really helps the group to get seen organically. So it works really well for me too.
Yeah, no kidding. So basically, you've got Facebook promoting you now because
Yes.
but you've done your work to get that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the beauty
That's
of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like wishing that one of those pop-up groups that I had once, that I wouldn't ever shut it down. I mean, I think that um, so I'm thinking, if I were going to advise somebody to do this, that I would say, okay, maybe plan 2 challenges a year so that you build up that group with like new fresh blood,
Yeah.
and maybe even 4, like once a quarter. And it could be
Hmm.
the same content.
Yeah, it can be
Yeah.
exactly the same content.
Uh-huh.
Before all these shutdowns happened, that's how I ran my business. I would have 4 like live launches a year. It
Uh-huh.
would literally be the same thing over and over and over again. And a lot of people,
What's your
have the
launch? Like what's it called? What is
I have
the
I had one that was planned for this year called I Am Unstoppable that just really like was a lot of mindset stuff
Right.
that would help, help women to open themselves up to see that 6 figures was actually
Right.
possible for them.
And what did that
Um,
look like? Was that a series of videos that they got or that were live, or do you tell me?
yeah, no, I've done it a couple of different ways. The ones that were planned for this year were 2 live ones and then 2 like recorded ones,
Uh-huh.
just to see how they responded, if that group mattered for the challenge, just to see like the type of results I could get from it. But yeah, ever since the shutdowns happened though, I was like, you know what? I'm just canceling these things. We're not gonna do any live launches for the rest of the year. It's just too much. It's too much. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
So I poured my energy into a more evergreen kind of ecosystem.
Mhm.
But it can be a great, great, great way. Launching can be a great way to build your Facebook group as your list also.
Right.
But it can be a wonderful way to really get, to leverage the algorithm to get people in your group. Then once you're in your group, they roll over to your email list. So it's a great way to organically grow your list also.
Mhm. Yeah. Now, are most of the ads that you put out going directly to that Facebook group, or are they going to a free goodie, or what? How are you? Can you share a little bit about your ad sequence? Does that go into a funnel, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so the ads are for a lead magnet, super simple lead magnet, download it, and then from there they get put into a whole bunch of email sequences. One of them is a nurture sequence
Uh-huh.
that, develops a know, like, and trust factor, but also is like, hey, follow me on Instagram, join my
Uh-huh.
Facebook group, have you listened to my podcast, things like that.
Right.
So they feed into one another.
What's kind of do you have a tiny offer that you hook them, that you
Yeah, so
try
on
to
the
hook them right
thank
away?
you Yeah. So on the thank you page for the lead magnet is a tripwire and it's for a trial from a membership site. So 7 day,
Okay.
$7 trial, super easy, low commitment. And then once people get into the membership site, they usually stay because they love it. So it's a
Right.
great way to
Or
build
like,
that too.
yeah. So
Yeah.
now people in that membership site, do they have another group, or is there not a Facebook group with that?
There is a Facebook group with it. Yeah. That's for only the active members inside the membership site. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Interesting. Yeah, it's one of the labs that I'm doing right now. Right now it's just like a 12 month to month program, right? You
Uh-huh.
do it for 12 months and then you bought it and you're in. I'm actually thinking about making that a month to month and actually do something live that continues to serve them every single month. So
Okay.
we'll see how that rolls out. But right now the people who got in, it's like gold
Yeah.
because they'll
Yeah.
probably get all that yummy, delicious stuff in a year from now, and they won't have to pay for it. So
Right. Which is phenomenal for them. My goodness.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. What are some of the other strategies or hacks that you really have found, secrets maybe that you found has really hooked people or got them, really connected to you? You're really good at your copy is really good at like connecting with people, and it's really good at saying, hey, you're my target audience. Like it actually speaks to that beyond just the name. I've noticed that your copy like really speaks to, you are my person that I want to work with. Um, do you have any tips around that, secrets?
Yeah. So whenever you write copy, I think you should have someone in mind. And I'm sure your listeners have heard this. This is nothing new, but I think it's good to repeat.
Right,
Um,
I would
when
agree.
you to yeah, when you talk to someone, and when you're writing copy, you need to be talking to one person. And yes, you speaking to that one person might disqualify other people, but if they're your people, they're not really going to care, right? So like I actually have a name of a person who I talk to, like an actual former client I used to work with, and every single thing I write to her, and I think about her, and I think about the things that she would say to me when we were working together, and so I create copy for her because you want someone when they number one, they have to stop the scroll. Like you have to be interesting enough to have them stop the scroll. And these
Right.
days we are way overwhelmed with all the stuff. So like, what do you need to do? What do you need to say to make them stop the scroll? And then from there, it's showing them like you actually do get it. Because I think that a lot of times when you as the entrepreneur experience success, your ideal client sometimes thinks that you maybe don't actually understand them anymore. Or as you scale and grow and they see you being more and more successful and they see all the cool things you're doing, they're like, she's no longer my person. She doesn't understand me. So like, what do you have to tell them? Because you do still understand them. You still get them. You still understand it.
Been there, done that.
Right. Yeah. Like we've done
Still
this
doing
stuff,
that in
believe
a
me.
lot of ways.
Right? Yeah. And that's another thing too. So like, what do you have to say to them to help them that they understand it? And how can you also be like, girl, I get it. I'm right there with you. Like the other day I made a Instagram post that was like, I've been grumpy for 2 weeks and it's because my kids are home. They're driving me crazy and I don't know how to manage this. So
Yeah.
anytime you can also be like, I get it. I understand it, but listen, we're not victims here. Like we can move forward, we can accomplish, like we can bust through this, we can make a change, like relate, but then also like, all right, this is how we're gonna get through this together. I think that's also really, really imperative. So it's speaking to that one person, it's relating to them, being like, I get it, I understand where you are, but it's also like, all right, this is what we're gonna do to get ourselves out of this. So like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's kind of how I think about it.
it's been funny because when we've been in quarantine, I've actually been showing up on my personal, family Facebook page more, and I've just been asking them questions like, here's what I'm going through because of my quarantine routine. Any advice, right? Or anything
Yeah.
I should add for self-care, or what are you finding that kind of gives you a little bit of relief from the noise and things like that? And I found that there's a lot more engagement when you're actually asking people to help you, asking them questions and things like that. So it's been kind of interesting because, things and I'll post funny stuff, right? And I think that people have kind of started to hang around me more because they're like, yay, she's giving us some funny stuff so that we can not feel so, isolated and alone and also overwhelmed with all this noise of this reality right now. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
People want to know you're a real person. People don't want to think that like you're perfect because let's be honest, none of us are. So like how can you show them, hey, I got it. I'm right there
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah. Yeah. My big, I've been noticing that weight is like slowly attaching itself to me during this time. And
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've made like a bunch of food changes, but just, I guess the amount of activity that I used to have, just getting out and moving has seemed to really change things. So I think next I'm going to start asking for some tips and they're going to tell me to exercise. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm a total gym rat. Like I'm the type of person that goes to the gym 7 days a week. Like I love
Yeah.
working out. And I used to have a personal training business. Um,
Oh, really?
and yeah, that was like my first full-time
Uh-huh.
business. And so, we can't go to the gym right now. And usually I do a lot of yoga. That's kind of like my
Wow.
thing. I can't do yoga at home. Like it's not relaxing. Like it's just not going to work. My kids are like climbing all
I
over me. It
don't
doesn't
get
work.
the sites so that I could do it with a teacher, like even a renowned teacher. And and every time I start one, it's like 10 minutes in, even if I don't have distractions, I can't seem to make it through the thing. It's just like, oh, okay. There's something about doing it with a group and being
Yes.
watched.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been sharing these like 10-minute workouts that you can do at home. You can get like a bag of flour if you need to. Some of them are weightless and
Mhm.
people freaking love them. It's so funny.
Really?
And I was like, it's because it's like an easy win. Like everyone knows they need to move. No one could go to the gym.
Right.
And like 10 minutes, that's like busy moms can do that. Like we can do that. We can set aside 10 minutes a day. You're asking someone to sit down and do a 40-minute yoga class. It's not going to happen right now. It's just not.
No.
So people love it. It doesn't always have to be, related to your business. It can be related to your life. And
Life
yes,
is your
squeeze business in
lifestyle.
there. But
Yeah.
life is way more important right now.
Yeah, no, I would agree. It's so funny because there's parts of this that I'm really loving. I
Uh-huh.
mean, I've already had an online business, so it wasn't that big a shift for me, but
Yeah.
I kind of love having people here. On my older son and my husband both have jobs that they're doing from the house with me. So really it's just do your work and keep your 14-year-old busy. you know so
Yeah.
during the week, it's the weekends that are hard. I've been doing a lot of stuff outside around the neighborhood, but that gets old and you can really only do about an hour a day. So it's kind of ended up looking more like drinking and watching TV on the weekends. So
I
unfortunately,
know.
that's probably where the weight's coming from.
Maybe,
I should
maybe. I
shift.
don't know.
I should make a new choice.
Make a new choice. Yes,
Right,
that's funny.
right. All right. What a fun conversation. Anything else? I of course want you to add, how people can find your group, how people can find you, where they should start with you. But anything else you feel that would be really helpful to this conversation? I think that our audiences are very similar, and I have it seems to be a handful of deep beginners. So
Mm.
some encouragement around actually taking some of those first steps, the courage to do so. I think few of them have a lot of fear in taking and really showing up and leading online.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely scary for sure. When you're first starting out and you're, establishing yourself as a leader and a thought leader and all that stuff, like it's a scary thing. But I also want to say this. So I think that like a lot of times we, see the successful people and they're doing certain things and we think that's it. That's what I have to do. So we emulate them and then surprise, surprise, it doesn't work for us, or it totally stresses us out, or you just feel like a fraud while you're doing it. And while those feelings need to be worked through, maybe that's a bunch of fear coming up. I do think part of that is that you need to listen to that. So you don't need to build your business in a specific way. Like there's so many different ways to build your business. You just have to kind of land on the thing that works for you and that feels pretty okay. Yes, it's still a little scary. And yes, kind of gives you butterflies in your stomach when you do it. Yeah, that's important. But the thing that lights you up, I think that's where you start, and that's how you start to grow. And sometimes that's Insta stories, sometimes it's email marketing, sometimes it's automation, like whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
Find a way that you can plug in and start to influence people and help people and serve people with a platform that works for you. And then from there, you can build out with other things. So
Yeah.
don't feel like you have to have all the things done perfectly at first. Um, that's not a necessary thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. I think that when people think of, oh, I have to create an ecosystem like what you talked about, I mean, that's overwhelming. Like I've got to start my group, and
Yes.
what does that need, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, definitely needs a cover image. What is that? What's the name of it? I mean, I think that it's just like those simple steps that when you think about a whole ecosystem, it really gets people overwhelmed. But the truth is, if they can just start with engaging and influencing and talking, that they've really, have gold at their hands a year from the day they begin.
Right. I mean, I've been in this business for 5 years. So yeah, I sure as heck better have an ecosystem by this point. But I didn't start like this, right? I started
Yeah,
with a Facebook group and that
yeah,
was all I had.
yeah,
And that's okay.
yeah. It's a lot easier when when you have some traction, when you have
Yes.
an audience, when you have somebody that comes to you for something. And I think that, people start and nobody knows what they talk about. So they're like, I don't even know why I would listen to you in the first place. So they're doing all this stuff and people are like, who are you? Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What now I'm like, I have questions, more questions. What would you say, like people building I know we talked a little bit about starting up a first group, but what would you say about people really just wanting a new audience and doing it as fast as they can? What would be your steps to build an audience as fast as you can and they're willing to do the work?
Facebook ads and Instagram
Really?
ads.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Or some sort of paid advertising. For me, it's Facebook and Instagram
Mhm.
ads. Like build that email list. That's where people are
Okay.
used to buying. People are not used to buying off of a social media post anymore. That used to be different.
Okay.
But now I think people have gotten their way over it. I think they're just done with that sort of information. So build that email list, make a great email funnel and
Yeah.
sell to people there.
Oh,
That's where you're going to find the most traction, I think.
right. Right. Fabulous. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Allison. And if you guys, just a reminder, this is on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. And if you leave me a comment, then I will send you my 110-page called Simple Marketing book. So comment, especially on Apple iTunes, because we had to relaunch this as I changed the name for it. So I appreciate any of your comments and any of your feedback. So thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye, everyone.